Selene, an Elysian xenobotanist, catalogued the bioluminescent flora of Xylos. The gentle hum of her survey skiff a familiar comfort in the alien forest. Emerald light pulsed softly from towering fungi, painting the intricate patterns of her silver-toned skin, as she meticulously recorded a new species of crystal-fronded fern. The air, thick with the scent of damp earth and unknown pollens, vibrated with the skiff's low thrum, a counterpoint to the myriad clicks and rustles of Xylos's hidden life. That comfort shattered when her environmental sensors picked up a distress beacon, faint, erratic, and utterly unlike any known Elysian or galactic Concord signal. A discordant chirp sliced through the skiff's harmonious ambience, drawing Selene's multifaceted eyes to the main console. A jagged, unfamiliar waveform pulsed on the display, a visual scream in the digital silence. Her tendrilled fingers, usually so steady as they manipulated delicate botanical samples, paused mid-motion. Following the signal through the dense, crystal-veined undergrowth, her skiff gliding silently a meter above the forest floor, she found not damaged technology, but a small, whimpering creature huddled at the base of a colossal, pulsating xylem bloom. The bloom's fleshy, violet petals throbbed with an internal light, casting eerie shadows over the child. It was furless, bipedal, its limbs thin and fragile-looking. Blood, a startling crimson against its pale skin, oozed from a nasty gash on its arm. It was, Selene registered with a jolt that resonated through her empathic core, unmistakably a child. Selene cautiously maneuvered the skiff closer, its landing struts extending with barely a whisper. The child flinched violently at the sound, pressing itself further against the xylem bloom's pulsating stalk. Its wide, dark eyes, glistening with unshed tears, fixed on her, pupils dilated with a terror that transcended species. Signs of shock were evident, a tremor that ran through its small frame, the pallor of its skin beneath the dirt and blood. The injury on its arm was significant, the flesh torn and already showing an angry inflammation. This creature's physiology was entirely alien to Xylos, a stark anomaly in the planet's ecosystem, and utterly unknown to any Elysian biological database. Its off-world origin was undeniable, its profound vulnerability a palpable weight in the humid air. Her gaze swept the immediate vicinity of the xylem bloom. The air near a cluster of iridescent fungi shimmered faintly. Toxic spores, Selene knew, capable of inducing severe respiratory distress in most off-world life. A ripple of movement in the shadowed roots of a colossal ironwood tree hinted at a camouflaged ground-level predator, perhaps a scuttling xylem creeper with its neurotoxic bite. Even the sky above, visible in patches through the dense canopy, was beginning to shift, the light dimming as clouds gathered, a precursor to one of Xylos's sudden, violent electrical storms. This world was no nursery. A tremor ran through Selene, a sensation far deeper than the skiff's gentle vibration. Her species' most sacred tenet, the strict non-intervention protocol regarding uncontacted soffents, particularly without explicit Concord authorization, warred with the profound Elysian empathy that surged within her. The child was suffering, alone, terrified. Protocol demanded observation, reporting patience. Her very being cried out for action. The child's soft, choked sob decided her. Overcoming her ingrained hesitation, Selene dimmed the skiff's external lights and extended a slender, three-fingered hand, palm open, in a universal gesture of peace she hoped it might comprehend. She activated the skiff's external medical kit, The antiseptic cleanser hissed softly as she applied it to a sterile pad. Moving with deliberate slowness, she approached the child. "It is all right," she murmured, her voice a low, soothing thrum, the Elysian words meaningless, but the tone intended to convey reassurance. The child trembled but didn't pull away as Celine gently cleaned the wound, the crimson blood stark against the white of the med patch she carefully applied. She offered a nutrient paste tube, its scent mild and sweet, but the child only stared, its fear a tangible barrier. Leaving the child momentarily by the bloom, Celine expanded her search slightly, her skiff's sensors now actively scanning for anomalies beyond the distress beacon. Her breath caught patches of earth, not 10 meters away, were blackened and fused, the normally vibrant undergrowth vaporized. Several crystal-veined trees were shattered, their luminous cores dark, and embedded deep within their trunks were jagged shards of an unfamiliar, dark alloy that pulsed with faint, residual energy signatures, non-native weaponry, unequivocally. Her gaze dropped to the disturbed soil. Large, three-toed tracks, deeply impressed, led to and from the area of devastation. The stride was long, the claw marks sharp and aggressive. These were not the tracks of any native Xylan fauna she had catalogued. They spoke of a bipedal or perhaps powerfully built quadrupedal creature, a hunter, an aggressor. This was no accident. It was an attack, a pursuit. As Celine meticulously scanned one of the deep impressions, a distant roar ripped through the forest's ambient sounds, a guttural, challenging bellow that vibrated in her chest. At the base of the Xylan bloom the small child screamed, a thin, piercing sound of pure terror. It scrambled, trying to burrow itself under the bloom's thick roots, whimpering uncontrollably, its eyes darting towards the direction of the roar. The confirmation was chillingly absolute. Those creatures, the source of that terrifying sound, were the cause of the child's trauma. Recognizing the immediate and active threat, Celine acted decisively. "Come," she urged, her voice firm yet gentle, gesturing towards the open hatch of her skiff. The child, propelled by a fresh wave of fear from the echoing roar, stumbled towards the offered safety. Celine quickly guided the terrified, trembling child into the skiff, settling it into a padded alcove. She sealed the hatch and piloted the skiff swiftly towards a dense thicket of shadow silk trees, their interwoven branches offering superior concealment. Once hidden, she activated the skiff's perimeter stealth systems, dampening its energy signature and camouflaging its hull against the surrounding foliage. Every sensor on the Elysian vessel was now tuned to the forest outside, every fiber of Celine's being on high alert. Celine scanned the tracks, the skiff's bioluminescent sensors painting the disturbed earth in shifting hues of violet and emerald. Weapon signatures, etched into the surrounding Xylan bark, pulsed with residual energy. Referencing the data with the Elysian Concord's xenobiological database, the aggressors perseveranced into a species profile, Cathar. The database entry scrolled across her console. Cathar, a species native to the blighted world of Cathar Prime, exhibiting tendencies toward territorial aggression, opportunistic plunder, and a marked underestimation of species perceived as physically or technologically inferior. Limited interstellar capability. Treat with extreme caution. The clinical detachment of the Elysian assessment felt jarringly inadequate against the backdrop of Lily's ragged breathing. A guttural war cry, raw and grating, echoed nearby. Lily flinched, a whimper escaping her lips. She buried her face in Celine's side, her small body trembling. Her fingers tightened around the worn toy she clutched, a crudely stitched animal resembling a Terran bear, its fur matted and faded. Celine felt a pang of empathy, a sensation almost alien to her species' typically detached observation protocols. Celine attempted to soothe Lily, stroking her hair with a gentle three-fingered hand. She projected calming pheromones, a universal gesture of comfort, but Lily remained tense. Celine realized that language was a barrier, but the shared trauma transcended it. Any loud noise, any sudden movement, triggered the child's terror, replaying the attack in her mind. 2, perhaps 3, Cathar individuals crashed through the undergrowth nearby. Their crude, bone-hafted weapons were drawn, scanning the area with predatory intensity. Celine reacted instantly. She activated the skiff's chameleon field, the vessel shimmering and blending seamlessly with the surrounding flora. Guiding Lily with a silent hand, she moved deeper into the crystal-veined thicket, the skiff gliding effortlessly over the uneven terrain. The Cathar passed within meters, their heavy footfalls shaking the ground, oblivious to the presence concealed mere inches away. To ensure Lily's continued safety, Celine initiated a more drastic measure. She subtly manipulated the environment using the skiff's advanced bioscanners, creating a localized scent barrier. The skiff emitted a carefully calibrated frequency that disrupted the olfactory senses of the Cathar, masking their presence with a wave of harmless but overpowering floral scents. It was a direct violation of Elysian non-interference protocols, a conscious choice to prioritize the safety of a single, unknown child over the established rules of galactic observation, a decision that resonated with a surprising sense of rightness. Snippets of Cathar communication, translated in real time by the skiff's linguistic algorithms, crackled through Celine's neural interface. Small, soft thing must retrieve leader's orders. They were actively tracking Lily, their pursuit relentless. Suddenly, a torrential downpour began. But this was no ordinary rain. The acidic precipitation of Xylos sizzled as it struck the crystalline foliage, dissolving softer plant matter. Celine quickly activated the skiff's energy shield, a shimmering canopy of protective force that deflected the corrosive rain. The shield hummed, drawing heavily on the skiff's already strained power reserves. Despite her fear, Lily reached out, offering Celine her worn toy. The small, stitched bear seemed to radiate a quiet resilience, a silent offering of gratitude and trust. Celine accepted the toy, holding it gently in her hand, a tangible symbol of the connection forged in the heart of this alien wilderness. The skiff's energy reserves were critically low. The chameleon field, the scent barrier, the energy shield, all were draining power at an alarming rate. Celine monitored the dwindling energy levels, the numbers flashing red on her console. She could not maintain these protective measures indefinitely. The skiff was growing increasingly vulnerable. Analyzing the Cathar patrol routes, Celine identified predictable patterns. Their movements were dictated by the terrain and their apparent lack of sophisticated sensors. They favored established pathways, overlooking less obvious routes through the dense undergrowth. Their arrogance, it seemed, was a weakness. Realizing their dwindling options, Celine made a difficult decision. She activated Lily's personal locator beacon, a faint signal designed to reach her family, wherever they might be. It was a desperate gamble, a calculated risk that could either bring salvation or attract the Cathar directly to their hiding place. Moments later, a faint signal registered on Celine's long-range sensors. A ship, small and unremarkable, had detected the locator beacon. The signal originated from a vessel identifying itself as the Purpose. Nathan Lewis, the ship's captain, recognized Lily's unique ID code embedded within the beacon's transmission. His drive hardened into grim drive, but the humans were not alone in detecting the signal. The Cathar leader, monitoring the comms channels, also recognized the locator beacon. He barked orders, his guttural voice filled with savage satisfaction. The patrols were to converge on the source of the signal, to reclaim their escaped prey. The Cathar leader observed the willpower entering the Xylos system. It was a small, lightly armed transport, barely larger than a scout ship. He dismissed it as an easy target, a minor annoyance. He could not have been more wrong. Celine detected subtle environmental alterations near Lily's location, faint energy signatures disrupting the local flora, almost imperceptible fluctuations in the atmospheric pressure. The humans were already subtly influencing the environment, even before landing. Drawn by the activated beacon, the Cathar patrols began converging on Celine and Lily's location. Their guttural war cries grew louder, closer. The ground vibrated with their approach. The acid rain continued to fall, hissing and spitting against the energy shield. The trap was set. The Persistence entered a low orbit around Xylos, and Celine, watching from her skiff's monitors, saw the faint shimmer of its sensor sweep ripple across the landscape. It wasn't a crude, bludgeoning scan like the Cathar used, but something far more subtle, a delicate probing that seemed to sift through the very essence of the planet. The energy emissions were unlike anything she'd encountered in her xenobotanical surveys complex. Layered frequencies that spoke of sophisticated algorithms and focused intent. Below, the Cathar leader, a hulking brute named Crag, slammed a fist against the damp earth. "Find the hatchling," he roared, spittle flying from his tusks. "The locator signal. Triangulate it. Now." His patrol leaders, smaller but no less vicious, barked orders in their guttural tongue, and the Cathar warriors lumbered off, crashing through the undergrowth with little regard for the delicate Xylan flora. Aboard the Dedication, Nathan Lewis stared intently at the sensor display. "Filter out the native life forms," he commanded, his voice tight with controlled urgency. "Focus on human biometrics and Lily's specific life sign signature. Enhance resolution on those Xylan bloom clusters. The modified mining sensors, normally used to detect trace elements deep within planetary crusts, now peeled back the layers of the alien foliage, searching for the faintest trace of his daughter." Celine watched the willpower's scan intensify, her internal conflict raging. Should she suppress Lily's beacon? It was a beacon, after all, a signal flare in the darkness. But something about the precision of the human scan, the focused persistence she sensed emanating from the ship, gave her pause. They weren't blindly searching, they were hunting. She trusted, perhaps foolishly, in their ability to protect the child. A Cathar patrol, thrashing through a thicket of crystal-veined ferns, stumbled upon something Celine had missed, the faint, almost imperceptible energy residue left by her skiff's camouflage system. One of the warriors, experienced now, paused, sensing the air. "Something's nearby," he stated, his sharp eyes carefully watching. "Something soft." On the grit, a crew member called out, "Captain, we're detecting subtle energy disruptions in Sector Gamma 9. Environmental manipulations, but unnatural." almost like someone is actively trying to mask their presence within the Xylan ecosystem. Crag, receiving Volag's report, snarled. Soft skins more than one. They think they can hide from the Cathar? Increase alert. Sweep the area, find them, and crush them. Nathan Lewis leaned forward, his lips pursed. Someone's protecting her, he murmured, more to himself than to his crew. Masking her presence. But who? And are they friend or foe? He knew he was walking into a situation far more complex than he'd initially anticipated. Celine made a decision. She couldn't remain passive any longer. Using a highly encrypted channel, she transmitted a brief data burst towards the Tenacity. A condensed summary of the Cathar threat, Lily's approximate location, and a warning about their brutal tactics. She hoped the humans could read it. On the Tenacity, the comms officer reported, "Captain, we've intercepted a data stream. Advanced coding detected. Highly complex structure. Looks like an attempt at communication." The crew worked feverishly, running decryption algorithms, their faces etched with concentration. The Elysian language was notoriously difficult to crack, its structure based on complex ecological relationships and subtle nuances of bioluminescent signaling. Frustrated by their inability to locate Lily, the Cathar patrols began resorting to brute force. They smashed through swathes of the Xylan forest, uprooting ancient trees and shattering delicate crystal formations, their heavy boots pulverizing the bioluminescent flora. The air filled with the acrid scent of crushed vegetation and the mournful cries of disturbed Xylan creatures. Celine watched in horror as the Cathar desecrated the forest she had come to study and protect. She couldn't stand by and do nothing. Activating a sonic emitter on her skiff, she mimicked the call of a large native predator, the Xylan Shadowstalker, a creature of immense size and ferocity. The Cathar patrols, startled by the sound, turned towards the emitter, their guttural war cries replaced by nervous grunts. The Commitment's crew managed a partial translation of the Elysian data. Cathar hostile. Child. Protect, the comms officer reported, his voice tight with urgency. Approximate location, but key details are still unclear. Crag, however, was not fooled. He recognized the sonic emitter for what it was, a deception. "A trap!" he roared. "They think they can trick the Cathar? Split the forces, Volag. Take half the warriors, and investigate the emitter's source. I will continue the hunt for the hatchling." Nathan Lewis, his face grim, turned to his first officer. "Prepare a landing party," he ordered. "Silenced weapons, advanced sensor equipment. We're going down there. I want eyes on the ground, and I want them now." Celine's skiff's power reserves were plummeting. The strain of maintaining the camouflage and running the sonic emitter taking its toll. Warning klaxons blared as the energy levels dipped dangerously low. She deactivated the emitter, knowing the Cathar would soon realize her route. "We have to move, Lily," she whispered, gently lifting the child into her arms. "They'll be here soon." She moved to a new, less defensible location, knowing it was only a temporary reprieve. Volag's patrol, cautiously approaching the source of the sonic emitter, discovered the abandoned skiff. He ran a clawed hand along its smooth metallic hull, a low growl rumbling in his chest. "Advanced technology," he grunted. "These soft skins are more dangerous than we thought. Crag must be warned." He activated his corn, his voice crackling with urgency. "The emitter was a decoy. We found their transport. They are technologically advanced. Capture or destroy. any other softskins in the area immediately. Nathan Lewis's landing party, descending through the dense silent foliage on repulsor lines, detected Vorlag's patrol moving towards Celine and Lily's new location. "We've got movement ahead," he reported, his voice barely a whisper in the comms. "Cathar patrol heading directly towards the child. They know we're here." "Time to move," he signaled his team, and they began tracking the Cathar, their silenced weapons raised, their faces grim with tenacity. The guttural war cries of the Cathar echoed through the forest as they converged on Celine and Lily's new hiding place. Celine knew she was out of time. She could no longer protect Lily on her own. The gentle hum of Celine's skiff morphed into a strained whine as the Cathar unleashed their final assault. Plasma bolts hammered against the emergency shield, each impact a jarring thud that vibrated through the small craft. Lily, pressed against Celine's side, whimpered, her small hands clutching a tattered toy. The air crackled with discharged energy, ozone stinging Celine's nostrils. The shield's strength indicator plummeted with alarming speed. Then, a deep, resonating hum filled the forest, a sound that seemed to vibrate through the very ground beneath them. The Cathar's plasma fire faltered, their guttural roars replaced by confused snarls. The ground shook, making the large aliens lose balance. One tripped, his energy weapon firing astray into the dense foliage. Celine peered through the weakening shield, her multifaceted eyes struggling to pierce the smoke and dust. The Cathar were clearly disoriented, their movements erratic and uncoordinated. Something was attacking them, but she couldn't identify the source. She saw puffs of displaced Xylan dust, the subtle sway of colossal fronds, almost as if an unseen hand was manipulating the environment itself. Elysian doctrine emphasized observation, understanding, but this defied easy categorization. It wasn't a storm nor a predator native to Xylos. A near, invisible pulse of energy lanced through the air, originating from a point beyond the Cathar's position. One moment, the Cathar leader was barking orders into his wrist-mounted communicator. The next, he was clawing at it in frustration, the device sparking and useless. Silence descended upon the Cathar ranks, broken only by their own confused shout. Enraged, the Cathar unleashed a wild barrage of plasma fire, the bolts tearing through the Xylan forest with reckless abandon. Trees exploded in showers of crystalline shards, the air filled with the acrid smell of burning vegetation. Several of their own troops were caught in the crossfire, their armor scorched and smoking. High above, almost invisible against the backdrop of the colossal Xylan bloom, figures moved with practiced ease. Clad in dark, adaptive camouflage, the landing party from the drive scaled the massive tree with specialized climbing gear, their movements fluid and precise. They were flanking the Cathar, preparing to strike from an unexpected angle. A flicker of recognition sparked in Celine's mind. Faint energy signatures, weapon types she had catalogued in pre-Concord surveys human. The Perseverance had arrived, and they weren't just searching, they were actively engaging. Silently, efficiently, the human team eliminated the Cathar scouts guarding the perimeter. Suppressed weapons coughed, emitting only a faint hiss. Combat knives flashed in the dim light. The Cathar scouts, clumsy and overconfident, never knew what hit them. The Cathar leader, his face contorted with rage, roared in frustration. He couldn't communicate with his forces. He was being attacked from multiple directions by an unseen enemy, and his prey was now the hunter. He gripped his weapon tighter, hand firm. Then, a surge of power filled the area. The foe's defenses flickered, weakened, and failed. The aliens roared in fury, realizing they had been rendered vulnerable. The human kinetic assault was swift and brutal. Specialized ammunition tore through the Cathar's unshielded armor, dropping them where they stood. Combat knives flashed, silencing any remaining resistance. Within moments, the remaining Cathar soldiers lay motionless, their bodies riddled with wounds. Selene watched in stunned silence, her multifaceted eyes wide with a mixture of awe and terror. The humans had not just defended themselves, they had systematically dismantled the Cathar threat with terrifying efficiency. It wasn't rage that fueled them, but a cold, calculated drive to protect their own. The ship's name echoed in her mind: persistence. The Cathar leader, realizing his impending doom, let out a final desperate roar. He advanced to Selene's skiff, blaster raised, intent to stop them at once. A figure moved with great speed, blocking the Cathar leader's assault. Nathan Lewis, his face grim, engaged the alien in close-quarters combat. He moved with a speed and ferocity that belied his human frame, dodging the Cathar's clumsy blows and delivering precise, devastating strikes. With a final brutal thrust, he silenced the Cathar leader forever. Lily, witnessing the battle, instinctively reached out towards Nathan, her small hand outstretched. Her fear slowly gave way to a sense of safety, of trust. The forest fell silent, the only sounds the crackling of burning vegetation and the hum of Selene's skiff. Nathan Lewis, his breathing ragged, assessed the situation, ensuring the complete elimination of the Cathar threat. Then he turned his attention towards Selene and Lily. Selene hesitated, unsure of how to approach these humans, these protectors. She recognized their clear intent to safeguard Lily, but she was also wary of the sheer power they had unleashed. Taking a deep breath, she deactivated her skiff's shields, signaling her peaceful intentions. The transparent canopy slid open, revealing her to the humans. Nathan Lewis stood over the fallen Cathar leader, his face grim. A final scan confirmed the alien's biosigns were flatlined. The immediate threat to Lily and to the Elysian who had sheltered her was neutralized. In the aftermath, Selene's skiff was a wreck. Its energy shields were dark, and deep gouges marred its bio-integrated hull. Sections of the Xylan forest surrounding her small clearing were scorched and scarred. The air smelled of burnt vegetation and ionized ozone, a testament to the ferocity of the brief but decisive battle. The drive's crew, led by Dr. Thorne, fanned out, securing the perimeter. Medical drones, repurposed from the ship's sickbay, assessed the injured Cathar, administering sedatives and basic care to ensure they posed no further threat. There would be no needless cruelty. Nathan approached Lily. His hardened features softened as he knelt, his gaze sweeping over her small form, checking for any unseen injuries. The relief radiating from him was palpable, a tangible wave in the air. Lily, initially hesitant, rushed into Nathan's arms. She buried her face in his chest, her small body trembling with a mixture of relief and exhaustion. The worn plush toy she clutched was crushed between them. Selene observed the reunion, struck by the stark contrast between the ruthless efficiency she had witnessed moments before and the overwhelming tenderness Nathan displayed towards his daughter. It was a duality she was only beginning to comprehend. She understood with a clarity that resonated deep within her Elysian soul that the humans' terrifying vengeance had not been driven by malice or a thirst for conquest. It was born of something far more primal, far more powerful, an overwhelming, all-consuming instinct to protect their young, a force she had never fully comprehended before, a force that could reshape entire worlds. The drive's crew began repairs on Celine's skiff, welding biocircuits and recalibrating energy conduits with practiced efficiency. They offered her what assistance they could to get her back to her research station, their gratitude evident in their actions. The willpower itself was prepped for departure, its engines humming softly. Nathan approached Celine, his expression sincere. "Thank you," he said, his voice rough with emotion, "for protecting her, for your courage and compassion. We won't forget it." Celine nodded, humbled. As the humans worked, she transmitted a detailed report to the Elysian Concord. To the esteemed members of the Elysian Concord, the report began, regarding Terran species designation, human. Preliminary threat assessment requires immediate revision. Observed engagement on Xylos indicates that familial protective instincts are a Class Alpha strategic driver. When offspring are threatened, expect unconventional, highly adaptive, and disproportionately effective force projection. Standard threat assessment protocols are insufficient. Recommend extreme caution and avoidance of any action perceived as endangering their young. Their capacity for both calculated violence and profound tenderness is remarkable. On Elysia, the Concord chamber fell silent as Celine's report concluded. High Counselor Lyra exchanged a grave look with her colleagues. The implications were profound. Humanity, once considered a relatively minor player on the galactic stage, now presented a unique and potentially destabilizing fact. A high-level debate began, focusing on the need for a complete re-evaluation of threat assessment protocols and a revised approach to diplomatic relations with the Terran species. The persistence ascended into the Xylos atmosphere, a single, determined spark against the backdrop of the alien sky. It carried Lily and her family to safety, leaving Celine alone in the recovering forest, forever changed by her experience. The gentle hum of the Xylan blooms seemed louder now, a constant reminder of the fragile beauty of life and the terrifying power of those who would protect it. Hey there, hope you enjoyed the video and witnessing the terrifying vengeance of a father protecting his child. If you liked this story, please hit the like button and subscribe for more HFY content. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the humans' tactics. Up next, I have another video exploring human ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. Click the card on the screen to check it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.